Hello, let's talk about sugar. When I first started to look for information about more healthy life, I found out quite early that sugar is not the best product for our bodies, for ourselves. And first I just decided, well, okay, let's try not to eat sugar in teas, then let's try not to eat candies, but everything else was more or less good for me. So for example, to prove about the sugar, I have some sugar in here, it's for my guests, and as you can see, it's not changing the shape. I can turn it up. So I have some sugar at my home, it stays here like just for the guest, and as you can see, I'm not eating it at all. So, and like I said, it turns out that sugar is not some unguilty product that you can eat. It does really bad things to our bodies. So I have searched for quite a lot of videos, I watched a lot of videos, I looked for information, and here are the most interesting and most valuable videos that you can find about the sugar. So I'll try to add everything to this one video. I hope it won't be too long, but it's gonna be really informative. I'm gonna say everything I found about the sugar and why it's not so good. Okay, so let's start with how sugar is made. You can see the process in here about the creation of a sugar, making it from the sugar cane, and it looks like a chemistry factory. It has to go through several processes to get that nice white sugar. It has to be bleached. Some more chemicals has to be added to the sugar. That's one of the things that it's already not a natural product at all. Now you might say, okay, let's talk about beetroot sugar. It's not from a cane, it doesn't need to grow in tropical areas, it can be grown in some other in more countries. And is it better? Well, no, not so much. Around 30% of sugar is made from beets, and 7 beets are required for 1 kilogram of sugar. I would say that's a lot. And it also has to go through quite many steps to get the sugar. Bleaching has to be done as well, so some chemicals has to be added as well, so that we could get a sugar. So beetroot sugar is no better thing than just cane sugar. And in here you can see the process of that sugar, how that sugar is made. So it doesn't matter if it's a cane sugar or is it beetroot sugar, it's the same bad thing for us. Now, before we dive deep into investigating what sugar does to our body, let's talk what kind of sugars there are. Because there is not just a white sugar. There is a brown sugar, molasses, honey, maple syrup. There are all kinds of different sugars in this world, in this market. So in here there is a short video explaining about main 4 things about the sugar. So for example, white sugar has 50% of glucose and 50% of fructose. We will know later more about glucose and fructose and what's the difference between them. Brown sugar, for example, is more or less the same, just has 5% of molasses. That's a little bit better, but very often it's just the same white sugar, just with more chemicals to be brown, like more added coloring or something like that. So if you think that you're buying brown sugar and you're eating more healthy sugar with more molasses, no, that's not true. You have to check the labels of the products, and it might be that you're eating the same white sugar, just with some chemical additives to make it brown. And molasses is also one form of the sugar, which you can see in this video, and that's the leftover of the sugar making process. Honey, for example, is lower in fructose, and it has some actual health benefits. So that product is slightly more better, and actually it's more like approved product. For example, the honey is the product that I'm still eating. Even I skipped all the other additional sugars in all the products, but honey is still one of those products I'm still using. Maple syrup as well. Just make sure it's natural and not without any additional sugars, because very often you can see a nice bottle with maple syrup on the label, but it has a lot of additional sugars, and that's not good. This is not what we want, not at all. Okay, now that we know about how sugar is made and what are the different sugars, let's talk what does sugar does to our brain. This is very, very important. Maybe not one, but one of the most important things about the sugar. Our brains has like a different sections, and one of the sections is cerebral cortex, which process different tastes: bitter, sweet, salty, umami, and some others, and activates brain reward system, which gives us a signal if we should repeat eating that food or not. So the main thing about this is the reward system, which everybody has and which is very important. If you eat some bad food, well, you will not get anything from that reward system, and you will know for the future that this is not a good food and you should not eat it. If you eat something good, delicious or sweet, it will be activated and you will know in the future that that's a good food. You should eat it again. Now, as you may know or may not, sugar is added to almost all the products we eat. What happens next? Reward system will be activated every time you eat a sweet dish. Of course, there is one more thing. If you eat the same food again and again, dopamine levels will not increase every time as much as the first time you eat some good food. That means that our brains gives us a signal to try some new foods, and if you eat the same food again and again, you will not get that reward feeling that you got the first time when you ate something. And the tricky thing is that sugar, it doesn't matter how many dishes or how much sugar you eat, the reward system will be activated every time you eat the sugar. You can drink cola, eat pasta, eat some other sugary dishes, and the reward system will be activated every time like you would be eating that dish for the first time. What happens next? You crave for more dishes with sugar. And in short, it behaves a little bit like a drug. Now in here we have one more video, a TED talk about the sugar and how it affects the brain. It kinda overlaps with the video you saw before, the video I was talking before. Just a couple interesting things about this one. Remember prefrontal cortex I was talking about before? The one that feels the taste of the food you are eating? Well, this part of the brain is also responsible for our behavior. And it turns out when our brain is growing, this part grows the last one. That means that for children, it's really hard to determine whether sugar is good or not, because their brain is not fully functional yet. It finishes growing when the person is around their 20s and so on. So it's like all children and teenagers, their brain is not fully functioning yet. That's why it's very hard for them to resist the sugar. Also, one more very interesting thing from this video, well, there are more, but I just pick the most important, most interesting ones, is that for the adults who eat a lot of junk foods, sugar foods, their memory is not so good as the people who eat healthy foods. They don't perform very well on memory tests. So that's also very important to know. Okay, now let's talk more about the body and what sugar does to our body, how our body deals with the sugar. We already know how it's made, what type of sugar there is, how it affects our brain, the dopamine, the reward center. But let's find out what sugar actually does to our body and how our body handles it. So there is one more TED Talks, which is actually very interesting as well. And I found out that there are beta cells in our pancreas, and you would die if those cells would be removed from you. That's very interesting. I never knew that something like this exists in my body. And beta cells is like a security guard. Once you eat some sweet or sugary food, it gives the signal so that the insulin would be started to make, and that insulin would remove the sugar from your blood. But as any machine, for example, or anything else, if this happens too often, they might wear out and you will get pre-diabetes or diabetes too. That's not so good. This is why most of the people has the diabetes, because their beta cells are weared out. They just get too much sugar all the time and they can't handle all that sugar. It's just too much for the body to handle. So how does sugar work? Once you get the sugar in your blood, in your body, you will feel energetic. Insulin kicks in and you'll get that energy, that glucose, fructose and other things. After around 2 hours, you'll feel like you have no energy at all. Why does this happen? Because sugar goes up and goes down. It's being like used for the body, for that energy, and then you have no energy at all. And you feel like, oh, I want more sugar again to feel that energetic level. And this goes up and this goes down, and this goes up and this goes down. Your insulin levels goes up, goes down. And this is how the beta cells wear out. And that's not all. If you eat a lot of sugar, you can get some diseases like heart diseases, kidney failure, strokes, or some others. And that's not what you want, right? Even Alzheimer or depression can be caused by sugar. That sweet we are craving for every day. So at the rate we are consuming sugar, it has become a gradual death sentence. And that's a big problem. Food industry knows that if you add some sugar to dish, we will want it more, like our reward system will kick in and so on. So we're adding sugar to all the dishes we are eating. We need profit, right? I think I mentioned that before. Food industry wants profit, not to make people more healthy. So that's the main issue with the sugar, that it's being added to all the foods, and you might get like a healthy food. It's written, let's say, on the package, healthy food, but actually it has sugar in it as well. I mean, how come the healthy food has the sugar in it? But food industry knows. Let's write it healthy, let's add some sugar, and people will buy it, because they usually don't read what the ingredients are. And like I said, sugar has a lot of names, not just a sugar. Fructose syrup, corn syrup, and many other, like 56 or something like that. So even if you don't write a sugar on the label, you might write a different name of that sugar. And some people will not know that this is a sugar and that it's doing the same things to your body as I was talking about, the same insulin levels. Now, one more very interesting video that it's really worth to watch. It's from Professor Robert age-lasting. It says a lot about the sugar and what it does to the body. It's quite a long video, but it's really worth to watch it. Now, the main things about the sugar, that it causes obesity, like I said before about beta cells, it causes obesity to the people. And in the USA and some other countries, there is an even like 6 months old babies which has obesity. Why? Because even children, babies' products has added sugar in them. That's like one of the main ingredients is a fructose. Fructose is 73% sweeter than a sugar. It's like a poison to our bodies. In 1966 it was invented in Japan. It was so cheap that companies started to add it to all the products they are making. During that time, doctors and many health specialists said, the obesity comes from the fat. Let's make some low-fat products so people would be healthy. If you remove the fat, you have to add something else for it to be delicious and eatable. And that was sugar. This is how sugar started to be added to all the foods, especially this very cheap fructose syrup. And this is how we started to eat that sugary food, without even noticing that we are eating not the healthy food as it was before. Another thing, if we look at our evolution, before, like, we were eating about 100 to 300 grams of fiber. It comes with fruits, with vegetables, and so on. Now, as we have a produced food, we are eating just around 12 grams, well, that's average, just 12 grams of fiber a day. So during the evolution, our body got used to get the fiber, to get the elements, microelements and vitamins and everything else from that fiber. But now we are eating prepared food which has almost no fiber at all. It's like fiberless food, and that's really bad for our bodies as well. So, like I said, we can rename fast food to fiberless food, the food that has nothing good in it. Okay, let's talk about the fructose, the main thing that causes all the issues to our body. Fructose does not suppress the hunger hormone, ghrelin. For example, if you drink a can of soda, well, if you feel hungry and drink a can of soda, you will still feel hungry, but you will get all the sugars into your body. And you will eat more once you started to eat, because it does not suppress any hunger. If you eat some more sugary food, you will eat it more because it has a lot of sugar. Acute fructose does not stimulate the leptin or insulin, well, the sections in your brains to make the insulin and so on. What happens next? You will eat more again. Your brain does not get a signal that you ate something, and you will eat more. Now, glucose is a different story. Every cell in your body needs glucose. It's like a life elixir to them. And with the sugar, it comes, like I mentioned before, usually half glucose and half fructose. So fructose does not do anything good to your body, anything at all. You just need a glucose. And you can get it with the fiber in the fruits. Like if you eat fruits, you will get sugar, you will get glucose, and you will get fiber. So that's three things that you will get at once. And once you get that sugar with the fiber, it will not be like produced in your body so fast. You will not get those insulin levels going up, going down. That's also a very good thing. Fructose is a carbohydrate and it is metabolized like a fat. So it's like a toxin to our body. I couldn't imagine before that if we eat sugary foods, it can be metabolized as a fat and you can get fatter. I thought, well, fat food and that's all. If I don't eat a fat food, I will not get fat, or the people will not get fat. But it turns out people are getting fat and diabetes not because of fat food they eat. They get it because of sugar. So this is one more thing why I decided not to eat any additive sugar at all. Just the one that is in vegetables and fruits. So in this video you can see a lot more about these things I just talked, because it's, well, actually quite long, it's 1 hour and so, but it's really worth to see it, to watch it, because it's a very scientific video and the professor says a lot of facts, a lot of good facts about sugar and how it works in our bodies. And you might change your mind about eating sugar again. Now, one more very interesting video from the same professor, Ludwig, is a TED Talk. Actually, I have quite a lot of TED Talks in my playlist. Well, you can find that playlist on the right top corner. So there are quite a lot of them. And in this one, there are even more interesting facts about the sugar. All of us has insulin levels 3 times higher than it used to be before, like a couple of 100 years ago. And 7 out of 8 people might not know that they have a diabetes. Well, actually it's more like in USA, because the professor is from the USA. So if you're living in a different part of the world, that might be a different story. But in USA, 7 out of 8 people does not know that they have a diabetes. And one more quite a shocking thing to me was that you can get a layer of fat not just outside your body, but inside your body as well. It can go around your organs. You might look thin outside, but fat inside. This is something that I did not knew, and this is something like blowed my mind away as well. So yeah, you might look like a normal person, like more or less skinny and so on, but if you'll have fat around your organs, you will feel sick, you will feel bad, and you will feel not well at all. If you're counting the calories you're eating, you should know that calorie is not a calorie. Especially if you saw a Coca-Cola advertisement saying calorie is a calorie. So no, calorie is not a calorie. Different calories are being metabolized in a different way. And processed food has almost no fiber, just a lot of sugars, like I told before. Fast food is like a fiberless food, and sugar is like a toxin to calories. Now, one more very interesting topic, a very interesting video, that sugar is as bad as alcohol. If you want to live a healthy life, you should not drink the alcohol. This is another topic. I will talk about this another time. But sugar is the same bad as the alcohol. Why? You can find out in this video. But the main things are that fructose, like ethanol, which you can find in the alcohol, is not necessary for our body. Not at all. And almost everything is processed in your liver. Remember the glucose I was talking about before? The part of the sugar that is good for our bodies? So only 20% of glucose goes to the liver. Everything else goes to the cells. If you eat fruits or vegetables, which has a lot of sugar as well, that's a different story, because it has fiber, and fiber prevents the sugar to become a problem in our body. Also, one very interesting thing that was mentioned in this video, that average American children sees around 30,000 advertisements showing some sweet products which has a sugar. What happens next? Like you remember from the previous video, the brain is not fully developed, grown for the children, and it's hard to make good decisions for them. The cortex of the brain is still not matured, and they got affected by those advertisements very easily. We just want that sugary food, which is not healthy at all and which causes obesity for the children as well. Now another very short video that kinda puts everything to one video, to one file, is what sugar does to your body. It's like 10 most important things what sugar does to your body. It can give you wrinkles to your face and you might look more aged than a person who has a healthy life and does not eat the sugar. It's associated with acne. It helps to develop the diabetes 2 especially. If you saw the video from Professor Ludwig, you have a higher chance of getting a cancer. Also, sugar can ruin your teeth. And like I said before, or like you saw in other videos, it's like an empty calories. It does not do anything good to your body. No nutritional value at all. Just the reward system in your brain. And it makes you feel hungry and causes fat in your body. Belly fat, internal organs fat, and well, obesity fat, it's kinda the same. And the worst thing of all is that the sugar is addictive. You will crave more. As more you eat, more you will crave for it. Now, for the end, I would recommend you to watch a movie. Well, it's a documentary, but it's made very well, that Sugar film. I'm not sure, well, I find it on YouTube. I will leave the link with other links in the description of the video, but I'm not sure if it's a legal movie, so it might be removed. But while it's still here, you can watch it, or maybe you can get it somewhere else. I'm not sure, I just found it in here. So with a different country subtitles, it's like Spanish or Portuguese, I'm not sure. But the language is original, so it's still, you can understand everything quite easily. Just some subtitles that you can just skip, just like don't notice them. So this movie is very well made, and the author decides to look what will happen if he starts to eat healthy food with sugars. Like, he takes the statistics that average, he's from Australia, so Australian eats around 44 spoons of sugar a day. That's a lot. And he starts to eat a healthy food which has sugars in it, and he starts to look what will happen. So like I said, this film is very well made. It's quite entertaining. It's like a Hollywood film, just a documentary of a person, and it explains a lot of things about what I was talking before as well. Not so scientific, but yeah, but it's still a very well made film, and it's really worth to watch it, to see how his body changed. Well, actually, I can tell you, I can spoil you a little bit. He got some fats to his body, and his behavior changed. His mood has started to change during the day because of those insulin and sugar levels. Once he eats something sugary, he starts to be happy, he starts to dance, to sing, and so on. 2 hours later, he's lying on the sofa, on the bed, and saying, "Oh, I don't have any energy left." Yes, this is what the sugar does to our bodies, and this is a really good experiment that it's nice and entertaining to watch, to see how it affects our bodies. Of course, when he well, when the experiment finishes and he got back to the way he was living before, so he was not eating the sugar. I'm not sure if it was just added sugar or if it was sugar at all, like in vegetables and fruits. So I'm not sure about that. The film does not say the information about, because in fruits, in vegetables, sugar is not that bad. But once he stopped eating that additive sugars, the products with additive sugars, it was a little bit hard for him to do that. I mean, he felt quite bad because his body was still craving for that sugar he was getting before. So he had some really hard times after he finished the experiment. And you can watch all that experiment with a lot of explanations in here, in this very well made video, which I actually really recommend. Of course, the ones I was talking before are very important as well, because they are scientific videos and you can get many things, but this one is very nice and interesting as well. And speaking about that movie author I was talking, and how it was bad for him to finish the experiment and how he felt after he finished that experiment, you can watch another video from Dr. Aches about 4 things how to reduce the sugar cravings. If you decided that you would want to decrease the sugar, if you want to live more healthy life and want to eat less sugary foods, here are some, like 4 main things that you should do to start eating less sugar, and that it would be easier to do this for you. So those things, well, I will spoil you. Those things are: balance your food, keep your insulin levels stable, not like this, because up and down is the worst. More healthy fat, protein and fiber. You should try to keep all those in the balance, like 30-30-30, to get all of those ingredients in your regular diet. And if possible, you should remove sugar and grains from your diet. Why grains? Because grains has usually a lot of sugar as well. And the more sugar you eat, the more sugar your body will crave, like I said before. Also, you can have some supplements or vitamin B or something else to help your body to reduce the sugar cravings. If you crave less, you will eat sugary dishes less as well. And what's very important is that you should do more good exercises as well. Well, of course, first you have to take care of the foods you're eating, and then if you do that, exercises will help you to deal with the sugar and your body fat, if you have any, or you want to decrease as well. The right type, what I mean by the right type, is that if you're doing some cardiovascular exercises like long distance running and triathlon and some other like sports that needs a lot of energy at once or for a long time, that will not help you to decrease the sugar cravings. Do some weight training or asymmetric training like yoga, Pilates and some other trainings like that, and that will help you to decrease the sugar cravings. Also, professor mentioned one more thing, that candida might be a reason you're craving for sugars as well. So you can find his video about candida as well, how to reduce it. So that's about all I wanted to tell you today. Sugar is a topic that, well, it looks like very unguilty product that everybody uses, and everybody thinks that nothing bad is going to happen. The worst thing is that food industry uses the sugar all the time to all the dishes we make. If you take a look at the ingredients, you will find sugar in almost all dishes, and that's really sad actually. I wanted to get like some healthy food. I thought it's a healthy food. It was like a nuts and dried berries set. I thought, oh, nuts, berries, very well, let's get this food and it will be a great snack. I bought it, I placed it, and one day I thought, okay, let's try to eat it. And I read the list of ingredients. What do you think? The sugar, all the berries were coated with sugar. They were like different, like blackberries, like coconut, the part of a coconut, like dried bananas and so on. Well, the nuts were okay, the berries was the majority of the pack, and everything was coated with the sugar. I was really unhappy about that. So it's really hard to get rid of the sugar, of the additive sugar, but if you watch those videos I have recommended for you, and if you listen what I was saying about the sugar before, you might change your mind and you might start, or you might want to stop eating that additive sugar, because it's not good. It's addictive and it does not do anything good to your body. Of course, the brain reward system craves for it, but you have to try hard to deal with that. So, I hope this video was useful. If you find it useful, click that bell button, click that subscribe button, I really appreciate that, and see you next time.